Hello, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and you're at the last day of my 12 Cards of Christmas series. It's been great to have your company, and I hope you'll enjoy this last video where it's not just one card, it's 9 cards based on the same technique. All of today's cards use a die from my favourite things called mesmerising mandalas. I'm using a piece of pink paper that I've inked up using a braille technique from one of the earlier videos, and I will provide links to all of the paints that I use to create that pink background. I'm putting a little grey card on top of my little sandwich going through the big shot because I know that this needs a little bit of extra power to cut all the way through the layer of ink as well as the layer of card. You can see I used repositionable tape, so I'm removing that and I'm popping out a mandala. Now that leaves the outline, and it's the outline that we're interested in for this technique. I'm going to pop out the bits left over in the die, and now I'm positioning the die inside the pink shape into that negative space on top of the craft card. I'm going to run it through my Big Shot machine again. I'm going to remove the tape that's held it in place, and you'll see that I've now cut through the craft card as well as the pink card. So those two negative spaces match up, and if I pop the die cut back in, it fits perfectly. I've cut out several so that I can mix and match, and I can see, do I want a pink one, do I want the craft one, do I want a silver one, because I cut one from some silver paper. But whichever I choose, I have to find a way to get that beautiful filigree die in the centre of my card without sticking it to anything. So then I hit on the idea of using my laminator. I haven't seen this anywhere else. I'd be very interested to know if anybody has. Please leave me a comment if you've seen this. So what I've done is I've cut out various of the die cuts, and I'm putting them through my laminator, and they come out clear. That means that I can cut down the die cut and I can position it within the card, and I can glue it between the craft card and the pink card. So I make a little sandwich, and my beautiful clear die is in the middle of the sandwich. I'm using a little bit of glue to go around the corners and the outside edges, not too much because I don't want the glue to push out into the design in the centre. So just a light layer of glue. That will hold my laminated snowflake in position, and then I've put a little bit of glue on my pink top piece, and I can position that on top, and it's like a window. It gives a beautifully clean finish to your card. It's all neat and tidy on the inside of the card. Nothing sticks out, nothing shows, nothing looks glued up. It looks effortless. To complete the look, I'm using 2 Nouveau drops. I'm using a bright gold and carnation pink, and I'm adding some little splats of colour into the circles of this design because they just cry out for a little something extra. I'm putting a little bit of white card underneath to try and show you a little bit better how nicely the pink and the gold sit on that design. Now the next way that I used this die was I wanted to cut out the top and the bottom, but I wanted to try and keep it attached in my white base card through the middle section of the snowflake design. I'm calling it a snowflake, but in reality you could use this for all kinds of things, but let's go with snowflake for the moment. I've put the piece of grey card through the middle of the design, and I've run it through my Big Shot. Now this takes a little bit of poking out. You do need to be a little bit patient and a little bit careful, because obviously not all of it is cut through. That central panel is what is holding the design in your card. So very carefully I'm popping out the excess, and when that is all clear, as you can see across the middle, I have a strip where it hasn't cut out because the grey card prevented the die being cut all the way through. I'm masking off the centre of my design with a piece of plastic. This was left over from a failed experiment where I tried to make a stencil of this using plastic, but it wouldn't quite cut through, but that's fine. I saved the piece, and I can use it now to protect the centre of my design and keep it pure white while I add colour all around the outside using some spritzing. When I remove the mask, the centre is white. I'm taking a little sentiment, says Merry Christmas, and I'm going to stamp that onto a piece of grey card and attach that through the middle. I'm using my Versacolor ink and I'm inking up my sentiment, and I'm going to use Nouveau Bright White embossing powder. I'll sprinkle it over my sentiment and then I will heat set it. Now I'm going to glue that in place, but before I do, I want to take some of my lovely crinkly wire that I randomly got in a shop in Germany, so I can't give you a link to that, and I'm going to add a couple of tiny little Christmas bells. These bells do actually make a really cute little tinkle. I'm putting a little strip of adhesive on the back of my grey embossed sentiment because I want to hold the wire in place while I loop it around the left hand side of my card. I've added my little bells and I'm securing them in place with a little twist on the wire, and I'll stick that into position right across the centre of my card. I love the lacy effect that this card has. The design just hangs in the centre of the card. This is another technique where I've run a craft version of the die cut through my laminator, and I've used alcohol markers on the reverse to colour in some of the shapes, and it gives an effect like stained glass. I'm taking a little bit of repositionable glue and adding it just to the outside edges of my die so that it will be held in place while I spritz over it with a couple of colours, and again I will list the colours below the video. When I remove the top die cut, you can see I have two things. I have that beautiful doily effect on my white card, and I also have a beautiful coloured snowflake or doily which I can use on another card. So I'm taking the first piece and I'm going to glue this onto a grey border. I love grey with these colours, I think they work wonderfully well together. And then I'll glue the whole thing onto a 4x4 inch square card. This is another experiment. This is where I tried some glittery paint. This is a lovely blue metallic paint, and I coloured up one of my die cuts, but I didn't complete it, and I decided that I would use the centre and cut it out, and I will glue this into the centre of my card, and it will give it a little bit more shimmer and shine and lift it from just being flat on the card. It's very pretty, very soft colours. And because I have some beautiful pearl Nouveau drops, I'm going to add these as well. I'm taking the piece that was left from that previous cut that we did, and I'm using my quickie glue pen just to go around some of the bigger areas, not all of it, because it doesn't need too much glue to hold it into position, and I'm sticking it straight onto a 4" by 4" square white card, and this time I'm adding Nouveau Bright Gold drops. I'm going to leave you now with some music and some close-ups of all of the cards that I made today. Some of them I didn't go into detail, but you can see it's a variation on the theme and it's a variation on the colours. I'm also, at the end of that, going to take you back through each of the days and show you a close-up of each day's card that was made, and I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments. You've given me some great ideas for cards that I can do for you in the future, and I hope to see you soon.